Well, hello, everybody, and happy Halloween. It is me, Lisa, your host, and welcome to another edition of the Book and Banter Society. And I have a very interesting movie for you this time. This movie is called Dr. Black and Mr. Hyde, rated R, 1976, with a running time of 1 hour and 27 minutes. Well, as usual, before the fun begins, we got to get the disclaimer out of the way. The views and opinions expressed on the Book and Banter Society are my opinions and my opinions alone. I am not a professional movie critic. I just like to talk about movies that I have watched and I like to share them with you. And with something that I say or something could be in the movie that may trigger you. It could be certain dialogue, it could be certain actions in the movie. There could be blood, there could be violence, there could be gore, things of that nature. So, just letting you know, you have been warned. And also, spoiler alert, when it comes to the movies I talk about, I never give away the ending. But I will give away everything else. So just letting you know ahead of time, I'm going to be talking a lot about this movie, but I will not be telling you how it ends. So, all right, with all of that out of the way, on with the show. Now, before I start talking about the movie, I want to tell you a little bit about Robert Louis Stevenson. He was a Scottish author and he was famous for a couple of novels. One of them was Treasure Island, Kidnapped, and probably his most famous novel that's been told and retold, turned into movies and TV adaptations and all over the place. And that would be The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And this gothic horror novel was first published on January the 5th, 1886. And in a nutshell, it's basically about Dr. Jekyll, very nice doctor. Everybody loves him. He does some experimentation with a couple of things, makes a potion, he drinks it, and all of a sudden he becomes this hideous, ugly, evil guy named Dr. Hyde. And Dr. Hyde does some mean and evil, devious things. And people are starting to wonder, like, wow, what we got to catch this Dr. Hyde guy. We got to get him. And then at the end of the novel, it turns out that, well, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are one and the same. Because what Dr. Jekyll did was, I guess you would say, the bad side of him, it came out in human form, like it totally separated from his body and created a totally different human being that wreaked havoc all over town. So it's a very interesting story because it shows the duality basically of human nature itself. You know how they always say, you know, we all have a good side and a bad side. And I remember growing up, if someone was in a certain kind of mood, it was like, oh, you're acting like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, stuff like that. So if you ever get a chance, go ahead and read the novel. It is a very interesting one. And I bring it up because this movie is another kind of adaptation of this novel in a very modern way, I guess you would say. Well, modern, well, we're talking 1976, right? So well, still kind of like in a modern way. Everybody has had their take on it. So I'm going to share this take on The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So, all right, you guys, let's get started. Well, check out this power couple. Nope, it is not Beyonce and it is not Jay Z. Let me introduce you to Dr. Henry Pride and his girlfriend, Dr. Billy Worth. And they run a research center. And what they're doing today is they're showing some dignitaries around the research center. So, with the dignitaries, Dr. Pride is giving like a little speech to them, letting them know that they are conducting research in the regenerative processes of the liver, but not just the liver itself. He's really studying the tissues and the cells of the liver. And he hopes to, in the near future, find some type of cure for all these different liver diseases so that way people can get inoculated for it just like we do any other problems that we have. So I'm like, wow, well, Dr. Pride has sold me. Because if you look at that scene, it's like, whoa, I'm sold. And the movie doesn't say who these dignitaries are. So I'm going to assume these are people that maybe he's trying to get funding from. That's the only thing I can think of. So, and also, too, in this scene, after this, he says, oh, and if you will step into the other lab, then we'll show you the testing that they have been doing on the rats and stuff like that. And I'm glad they didn't show that part. So after that, we see Dr. Pride getting into this big Mercedes. It's like, damn. So he gets into this big Mercedes and he heads on down the road. We don't know where he's going, but it's like some nice little easy listening music is playing. And you see him passing by some big houses. And it's like, oh, this is so relaxing. Then what's interesting is he passes by the Watts Towers in, Los Angeles, and then right after he passes the towers, then the music starts to change. You can see the streets are just a little more gritty, and then the music changes. The music becomes a little hip and a little funky. It's like, "Dun, dun, 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 dun." Well, I can't do funky music, but you get what I'm saying. It's that funky 1970s music starts playing, and it's like, "Oh, okay." And Dr. Pride pulls up and parks in front of a free clinic and thrift shop in Watts. And it's like, "Oh, okay. Let's go inside." Well, Dr. Pride goes inside and we find out that this is his. This is a free clinic that he runs to give back to the community. It's like, oh, wow, this is cool. So not only is he a researcher trying to help people, he also runs a free clinic. So he goes in there and he says hello to the nurse and to the administrative assistant, and then he looks and sees what patients he's going to have that day and what his day is looking like. So now we see the doctor again at the research center. And his girlfriend, she opens a door and it seems like she was leaving the research center and she's surprised to see him. She's like, "Oh my god, what are you doing here?" And he goes, "Well, I had some notes to record and, stuff like that." And she says, they have a little banter back and forth. And then she says something like, "Oh, a doctor needs some rest," or something like that, and some food, talking about herself. Then he looks at her like, "Well, I don't think we're gonna be going out to dinner tonight," and then he jokes with her. He goes, "Hey, if you must know, I have this really big date with a guinea pig." And she's like, "I knew it was another woman." So, they're having this silly little back and forth. And then she tells him, "Oh, well, Do you want me to stay? I can help you." And he goes, "No, I'll be okay. You can just go home." And she's all, "What? To my lonely, cold apartment?" And he just looks at her. He's like, "Oh, like, I'm sorry." And then he says, "Oh, don't worry, I'll call you later." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And then they kiss, and then she kind of watches him leave. You can tell she's happy, as he watches him walk away. She's looking at him like, "Yes, like that's my man." All right. So now the doctor, he goes into the lab, he puts on his lab coat, and I love this part right here because this part seems so real to me. Cuz he's there and he's messing around with all these beakers, and there's different liquids with different colors, and it looks like he's really doing some research. So then he's labeling something, and then he gets a hypodermic needle and fills it up. And then he takes a rat and injects that rat with some serum that he just created. So let's see what happens. And look what happens. The rat starts losing pigmentation, and the rat loses pigmentation of less than 5 minutes. So it's like, oh my God, this is very, very interesting. And it gets even more interesting, you guys. So now the other rats are afraid now of the rat that has now lost pigmentation. And then that's when the doctor is like, "You know what? I better move you out of this cage," because the rat was acting feisty too. He was like, "Yeah, I think I better move you out of this cage and move you somewhere else." So Dr. Pride picks up the rat and he goes, "Ouch," because the rat bit him. So it's like, okay. So he left that rat right back in the cage. Oh, wow. Look at the doctor. He has fallen asleep, and it's the next morning. So the doctor wakes up, wipes the slobber from his mouth. No, by drooling all over the desk. And he's like, "Oh, wow, what time is it?" And Billy, she's like, "It's 7:30." And he's like, "Oh, wow." And that's when he remembered the rats. Because the doctor forgot about the rat, the feisty one. So that's why he was like, "Damn." So you see him and his girlfriend, they go to look at the cage, and well, yep, what he thought was going to happen, well, it did happen. And look what we have here. Oh my God. It looks like that rat that lost his pigmentation looks like it killed all the other rats in the cage. First of all, this scene is bleh, gross. Bleh. And now Dr. Pride, he's angry with himself because he's like, "How can I conduct research if I fall asleep?" And then his girlfriend is trying to tell him, "It's not your fault, I mean, you fell asleep. You can't beat yourself up for that." Then she says, "Look, I got to go. I got to pick up some samples. But don't forget, we do have a meeting. You're going to be at the meeting, right?" And the doctor goes, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll be at the meeting. I'll see you later." And then she leaves. So once again, Dr. Pride is in the research lab using, all his tools and all of that stuff. And he starts talking to himself and he's like, "Gosh, I've used rabbits, guinea pigs, rats. Something wrong with the chemistry. The chemistry is not right. Maybe I need a human factor." But then he catches himself and he's like, "Oh." What am I saying? Uh-oh, you guys. Here we go. Now the scene changes, and we see two young men. They are wheeling out this poor lady. And one of them tells the nurse, "It's Emily Johnson. What do you want us to do with her? She's in pretty bad shape. She's comes from a nursing home, and it seems like they just took her and like just put her up on a shelf and just left her there. Emily has no family, she has no friends, and there's no one to even notify that she's really, really sick." And so the nurse says, "You know what? Okay, I'll check into it. Put her in room 7B, and I'll call Dr. Pride, and, we'll see what he can do." And then the guy is like, "Gosh, I don't even know if she can even make it through the night." So now we have Dr. Pride and his girlfriend, Dr. Worth. They're doing their little research and everything like that. The next thing you know, the phone rings, and she says, "Oh, okay, I'll send Dr. Pride." And so that's when Dr. Worth tells her boyfriend, Dr. Pride, that there's a liver patient in room 7, and you ought to see about it because that person is pretty bad. They're in pretty bad shape. And Dr. Pride says, "Oh, well, you know what? This could be a good chance for me to try out that serum that I created." His girlfriend wheeled around in her chair and was like, "No, you cannot try that serum on a human. That would not be right." And Dr. Pride, oh, he gets a little testy. He goes, "What's right? What is right? Stand around, watch somebody die without trying to save them? Is that right? So my mother died. You remember that? Remember that? People standing around doing nothing? It's like, ooh, doctor." And look at his girlfriend. And she did the approach that I would have done. Because since he brought up his mother dying and all of that, she didn't even respond. She just shut her mouth and turned right back around. Because it's like, eh. I don't want to get into this argument. So, yeah, her lips are sealed. Okay. Now we see Dr. Pride has entered the room. He's looking at the patient and he injects her with the serum. Mmm. Oh boy. Can we do dramatic music, please? Oh my God. Okay, so a little while later, a nurse walks into the room. She takes a chart. She's looking at it, flipping through it. And you also see her, looking at the fluids, making sure everything is okay. But you know what, you guys? Everything isn't okay. And I'm going to warn you now, the next picture is scary. At least it is scary to me. So, anyway, the nurse takes a look at the patient, and well, the patient doesn't look so well. Damn! What the F? I probably could cuss on here, right? But okay. I'll keep it maybe PG-13. What the hell is that? Damn. I would be absolutely terrified. Damn. I mean, just look for a few seconds, okay? Look at that. Oh my god. And look at the nurse. The nurse is yelling and screaming like, "What the hell is going on?" And then the patient, who looks like a monster, just kind of lets go of the nurse's neck and just lays right back down. It's like, what? Ooh. All right. So someone comes and he's like, "Hey, what happened?" And she's like, "I don't know. I don't know." Then she looks back at the bed and she goes, "Look, good Lord, look." So the guy looks, and this is what he sees: a patient just laying down. Wow, I know that nurse is like, I need a drink." So now Dr. Pride and Dr. Worth, they're back, working. They're still working in the lab. And Dr. Pride tells his girlfriend, he's like, "Hey, Billy, why don't you do me a favor? Why don't you call and see how the patient in room 7 is doing?" So she calls, and then she tells Dr. Pride that patient has passed. And then he's like, "What?" And Billy is like, "Yes, they said something strange happened, but they'll put it in the report." It's like, "Shit, yeah, something strange did happen." It was like out of this world, is what happened. Oh my goodness. But yeah, but Dr. Pride is like, "Man, she really passed away?" And he's telling Billy, "I tried to save her, Billy. I tried to save her." And she's like, "I know, Henry. I know you did." And he goes, "Maybe if she wasn't so near death, maybe I wouldn't have used the serum on her." Ooh, what? Then Billy is like, "What? You use the serum on her?" And Dr. Pride is like, "Yeah, I did." I mean, said it straight out. "Yeah, I did." And she was like, "Henry, maybe the serum was just too strong for her. Maybe it was too strong for her heart." And he's all, I don't know. I don't think so." He goes, "The problem is, I don't know when I'm going to get another human patient." Ooh, then look at how she's looking at him. Dun, 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 dun. This is where we need like creepy music or some kind of dramatic music, because you already know he's like, uh-oh, she's looking for a human. Yikes. Well, look at Dr. Pride giving us a little bit of eye candy, I see. Oh, but not only is he giving us eye candy, he's giving us suspense, because guess what? As you can see, he's injecting himself with the serum that hasn't been working, right? Because remember, first he injected the rat lost pigmentation and killed all the other rats. Then he injected a human with the serum, and what happened? That person lost all their pigmentation and tried to choke a nurse to death. But I guess Dr. Pride is like, "Hey, let's see how it will affect me." Hmm. All right, you guys. What is it? Fasten your seat belts, because this is going to be a bumpy ride. So at first, Dr. Pride, he really doesn't feel anything. So, he puts his shirt back on, he puts on his robe, and then he looks in the mirror at himself. He's checking his eyes, he's checking his face just to see if there's any changes. And then the next thing you know, it's like he gets, I don't know, like sharp pains or what, but it just brings him to his knees. And then he starts swaying back and forth, and he's laying on, he's like leaning on the bed. And it's like, God, what the hell is going on here? And then, well, that's when the change begins. OMG, Dr. Pride has turned into a mother effing monster. Jesus Christ, look at that. It's like, what? So then he looks at himself in the mirror, then he turns back around like, wait a second. Is this me? Did I just see myself? It's like, no, this cannot be me, but it is. And this part here is funny. It's not supposed to be funny, but to me, it's a little funny because he gets up and turns off the light. I guess that's supposed to make things better. Like, you know what? I know I look ugly and I'm a monster. So I'm going to walk over here and turn off this light. It's like, okay, that doesn't change anything, but okay. Okay. So Dr. Pride is now a monster and he would do what any other monster would do, get into his Rolls Royce and starts driving down the street. And he drives down this busy street and then he parks on the side of the street and he approaches these three guys right here. And these three guys are looking at him. I guess they think he's a white guy. They're like, hey, man, what are you doing? You're on the wrong side of town. And Dr. Pride is like, hey, can you tell me where the Moonlight Lounge is? And then they're laughing at him. They're like, "The Moonlight Lounge? What do you know about that? What are you talking about? Get out of here." And Dr. Pride is like, "Oh, so you're not going to tell me where the Moonlight Lounge is?" And, they're like joking with him again. And then they're like, "You know what? I suggest you leave." And then one of the guys, oh, he makes a mistake of slapping Dr. Pride's face. Oh, and let's just say, as the young people would say, now it is on and cracking. Okay. Or it is on like Donkey Kong. Oh my God, that's kind of corny, isn't it? Oh, well, I should delete this, right? This is part of the recording that was so corny. Anyway, they get to fighting. How's that? And look at Dr. Pride. He beats up all three guys. Then he picks up one guy and throws him through the window of a record store. Oh my freaking God. It is total chaos. So, anyway, as you can see, Dr. Pride has found the Moonlight Lounge. Well, one of the guys told him where it was. He said, man, it's on a corner. You can't miss it, blah, blah, blah. But, well, Dr. Pride threw him through the front window of the record store anyway. But anyway, we are now going to enter the Moonlight Lounge. Now, what is so special about this lounge and why does he want to go there? Well, let's find out. Okay, so now we have two ladies here, and I'll just say they are two ladies of the evening. And they're sitting there, looking for work. And at the same time, they're having a conversation with the bartender as well. But then, if you look at the first picture, a pimp enters, and his name is Silky. Now, the thing is, he wants this lady of the evening to work for him. And she goes, oh, no, no, no. I've worked for you before. I am going solo. But he doesn't take no for an answer. So anyway, they do a little banter here and there, and as he's walking away, she literally kicks his butt. I mean, literally. And he turns around and looks at her, and she starts laughing. Well, I remember watching this scene. It's like, oh, should I cover my eyes? Because what in the world is he going to do to her, right? And look at them. Everybody stops and looks at her because they're just like me, like, ooh, this is gonna get ugly, okay? You literally just kicked a pimp in the butt in front of an entire lounge. Oh no. I don't think he's gonna take that lightly. And he doesn't. He pulls out a knife, not just a knife, but looks like one of those switchblades. Oh, and that's when she starts looking serious, because it's like, "Uh-oh, this is not gonna be good." And at that moment, that is when Dr. Pride enters the Moonlight Lounge. Well, when I say Dr. Pride, I use that term loosely because he's now a monster, but, you know, so he walks in and she's looking at him and she's like, "Get away from me." And Dr. Pride is like, "Come outside with me now." And she's like, "What? Get away from me." And he's like, "Linda, come outside with me." It's like, first of all, how does Dr. Pride know this lady's name? Now, remember, Dr. Pride has a girlfriend. This lady is a lady of the evening, and he's a monster. And he's like, "Linda, come on, let's go outside." It's like, what? So she's like, I'm not going with you. No way. So then the pimp looks at Dr. Pride and says, "You heard the lady. She doesn't know you, and she doesn't want to go outside with you." And then he lunges a knife towards Dr. Pride, but Dr. Pride grabs his arm so tightly that then the pimp drops his knife and all hell breaks loose. I mean, Dr. Pride is just beating up every man in the lounge. And the bartender grabs Linda and hides her behind the counter so she won't get hurt, because I mean all these men are trying to fight Dr. Pride, and it's kind of like a losing battle, right? And so then I guess some one of the guys picks up the knife that the pimp dropped, and he cuts Dr. Pride's hand with it. And then that's when Dr. Pride, it hurts him, and then he starts running out of the lounge. And then that's when the pimp yells, "Come on, let's get him." And so then these guys run out and follow Dr. Pride outside of the lounge. So when they run out and they finally catch up with Dr. Pride, guess what? Dr. Pride is now Dr. Pride once again. And then one guy grabs him and he goes, "Hey man, did you see a white dude come through here?" And Dr. Pride, I don't know if he's acting like he's drunk or he's out of it because he's changed back to himself again. He's kind of like, "What? I didn't see anybody." And so they're like, "Come on, you guys, let's keep looking. He has to be hiding somewhere." And then they run off and just leave Dr. Pride right there. Okay, so now the scene changes. It is in the daytime, and we have an old apartment building. And within this old apartment building, we have a young lady laying in the bed and two kids watching cartoons. And if that young lady looks familiar to you, you should know her, because guess what? That's Linda, you guys. Yes, Linda from the Moonlight Lounge. And then it seems like someone calls out to her. So she opens up her front door and it's her best friend. And her best friend is telling her kids, "Come on, you guys. You guys are bothering Linda. Go outside and play." And they're like, "Oh, mom." And she's like, "Come on, go outside and play." And then Linda's friend is like, "Man, I don't know how you put up with us." And she goes, "You guys are fine. You guys are the closest thing to family that I've ever had." And then her friend is named Bernie, by the way. Bernie is like, "You know what? When Gus died, it was so tough for us." Gus, meaning I assume that was either her boyfriend or husband. So she's like, "Yeah, it was so tough for us. And I worry about my kids. I worry about them sometimes." And then Linda's like, "Oh, stop worrying because nothing is going to happen to you. Everything is going to be fine." And then Bernie just looks at her and smiles, and she feels better about her situation. So now we're back at the clinic and it's Linda. And look who her doctor is. It is Dr. Pride. It's like, okay, now it's starting to add up. And then he goes, "Okay, Linda." And it's like, yes, this is Linda. And then he says, "Oh, okay, turn around." And then she says, "Oh, what happened to your hand?" He goes, "Nothing. Turn around, please." It's like, oh, shoot. We know how he hurt his hand. And then she starts getting a little flirty with him. She goes, "Ooh, you smell nice. Aftershave. Whoa. I can't believe you wear aftershave to work." Then look at him. He's smiling a little bit. It's like, oh my God, what's going on here? This little banter back and forth. Then he tells her, "Well, you must be taking good care of yourself because I ran the test and all your tests turn out to be negative." And Linda tells him, she goes, "Hey, when it comes to my health, I take it seriously. I watch my diet. I sleep till noon." And, she just let him know, "I'm trying to take care of myself, as best as I can, because she does have a liver condition." Then all of a sudden, guess what Dr. Pride says? "How about dinner tonight?" What? And she goes, "Are you serious?" And he goes, "Yes, I am." Oh my God. And then she says, "Am I for dessert?" And he goes, "Oh, no, no, no. It's not like that at all." He goes, "We can talk. We can get to know each other. I can get to know you. Just call it some fatherly advice." And she's like, "Okay." And he goes, "No, and there won't be any hanky panky." And, she goes, "Oh, there'll be no hanky panky?" "Well, hanky panky is my business, Doc." He goes, "I know, but not tonight. Tonight you are off duty." And she goes, "Well, okay, it's a date." He goes, "Great. I'll pick you up at 7." It's what my head is spinning, you guys. I mean, I'm sure this could be totally innocent, but just imagine if you were his girlfriend. I'm just saying, right? So now the doctor, he's walking out into the hallway and then he sees this lady. She calls out to him because she's totally distraught. And he's like, "What's the matter?" And she's saying, "Oh, the nurse says Jimmy here, he needs vitamins. I don't have any money for vitamins for him. All I have is food stamps." I mean, she's like straight up. And so then, while he's talking to the lady, that's when you see Linda, she's kind of like observing the situation. So the doctor reaches in his pocket, he gives the lady some money, and she goes, "Here, you take this and you get Jimmy the vitamins. And the next time you come in here, you ask for me personally. Will you do that for me?" And she's all, "Yes, okay." So then Linda kind of teases him and she's like, "Wow, you know, since you had to give that lady money, I'll order something cheap on the menu tonight." She was just joking. And then he says, "See, you weren't supposed to see that." She says, he goes, "I was telling you, see, that's the fatherly advice I was talking about. That's the fatherly, side of me." And she was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." All right, so now we're back at the research center. It is very hard keeping up with Dr. Pride, isn't it? He's here, there, everywhere, making dates with ladies of the evening, got a girlfriend. Oh god, Dr. Pride is all over the place. My God. So anyway, he's back at the research center, and as you can see, his girlfriend Billy doesn't look too happy. So he's just like, "Hey, oh, you're still here." And Billy's like, "Obviously." And he goes, "Whoa, that tone. What's wrong?" And she's like, "You used that old lady as a guinea pig, didn't you?" And then he's like, "Look, I took an oath to save lives, and sometimes it's difficult, to make these decisions like this." And she's all, "Henry, we could have lost everything. I found some of that serum, and it looks like some of it is missing again." And then he's like, "Oh, so are you accusing me?" And it's like, "Well, who else, right?" And she's like, "We could lose everything. We can't be getting involved, in some shady business. Like, come on, Henry. What are you doing here?" And he just looks at her calmly and he's all, "Don't worry about me, okay, Billy? Don't worry." And she's looking at him like, "You haven't even heard a word I said, have you?" And then she just storms off. And look at Dr. Pride, and he just walks, watches her go like, "Oosh." What can he say? Ooh, and Dr. Pride is sneaky, cuz while he watches her leave, guess what he does? He gets some of that serum, you guys, and he takes it. Woo, he is getting in over his head. So now we see Linda. Look at Linda, honey. Linda is all decked out, hunty. I like her little outfit. And she got her best friend there. Because guess what? She is waiting on her date, Dr. Pride. And so in the meantime, she's playing catch, with the two kids and everything like that. And then that's when Linda is like, "Bernie, you should see my doctor." And then guess what? All of a sudden, a Rolls Royce pulls up, and Linda goes, "Oh my God, that's him right now." So, like I said, the doctor pulls up, and then Linda introduces her best friend Bernie to the doctor and Bernie's two children. And so he's like, "Oh, hello." And then the best friend was like, "Whoa, I wouldn't mind you making a house call on me." It's like, "What?" And you can see the doctor right there. He's kind of blushing because he's kind of like embarrassed. It's like, "What?" And then that's when Linda nudged her friend, like, "Girl, you're doing the most. Slow down, okay? You slobbering and everything." No, just kidding. But she's like, "Okay, slow down, slow down." And so then, before Linda leaves, she reaches in her purse and she gives the kids some change, so they can get them something, some snacks or something like that, and have their own little party because they wanted to go with Linda. And she goes, not this time." Yeah, because Linda is like, "Hey, we don't know what's going to happen to Linda tonight." It's like, "What?" Oh my God. And the little boy, he says something very interesting to the doctor. The little boy goes, "Doctor, you don't look like Marcus Welby to me." It's like, "What?" Now, for those of you who don't know, Marcus Welby, that was an old television show on TV which featured a doctor, but the doctor was white. So that's why the little boy goes, "You're a doctor? You don't look like Marcus Welby." And it's like, "Oh," it's like, "Okay, little boy, it's time for you to go in the house now." It's like, oh my God. And look at Linda. Linda is getting ready to get into that Rolls Royce, hunty. And then you see her best friend and her best friend's two kids waving at her goodbye. Wow, I must say, when it comes to restaurants, Dr. Pride has some good taste, doesn't he? Look, this restaurant has a fountain and everything. And so I guess dinner is over because Linda says, "That was absolutely delicious." And then Dr. Pride smiles. He goes, "Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed the meal." And guess what Linda says? Linda says, "You know what? I could get used to this." Ooh, oh my God. Ooh. And he's like, "Well, you know, stuff like this, it's really not so important." And guess what Linda says? She goes, "Well, it is if you've never had it." Mm. She has a point there. I mean, look at Linda's face. She is beaming from ear to ear. I mean, can you blame her? I mean, come on. After all, she's a lady of the evening. Money kind of doesn't come in, too often. It's hit and miss and things like that. And next thing you know, this doctor, her doctor, is taking her to this fancy restaurant. And guess what he says to her? "I got a surprise for you." And she's like, "Ooh, okay. What is the surprise?" And guess what he tells her? "Why don't you come back to my house?" Oh, what? And all of Linda's hopes and dreams were just dashed in 5 seconds. It's like, and look at her face. She goes, "Oh, okay, I get it. You get the check, but I pay the bill." And guess what the doctor says? He goes, "Well, you got to get up off of something. Hey." Oh my God. What is going on here? Wow. So is the doctor a player or what? But then the doctor says, "Oh, come on, I'm just kidding. It's not like that. I'm just kidding." And then he's like, "Okay, are you ready?" And then she goes, "I guess, but I don't know for what." It's like, I know, right? Well, we kind of know. So now they're at this big giant house. And Linda's like, "Wow, so this is where you lived with your mother?" And the doctor says, "Well, I guess you could say this is where my mother worked." And this scene right here is kind of awkward because he's telling Linda, "Yeah, my mother used to work here a long time ago, and she was the maid at this high class whorehouse." And he says his mother used to take him up the back stairs, and then she would go back downstairs where she took care of the ladies. She would clean the toilets, change the filthy bed sheets, and all of that kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, so where is this story going? Then he also tells Linda that his mother was very lonely and she drank a lot. And one night she was fixing them dinner, and then she just fell on the floor. And remember, Dr. Pride is just a little boy, so he said he ran into the house, where the ladies of the evening were, and he was knocking on all the doors for, one of them to help his mother, and none of them did. And so his mother ended up passing away. And Linda, she's listening to this story like very intensely. And then she says, "Well, you must have really loved your mother very much." And, he's like, "Yeah, I did." Now, first of all, you have a lady of the evening in your car, and you're telling her a story how ladies of the evening coulda saved your mother's life, but they didn't. I mean, isn't that kinda awkward? You you know what I'm saying? It's kinda like, "Oh, okay." It's almost as if, let's just say, for instance, if Dr. Pride, let's just say he was going out on a date with Venus Williams, and then he starts saying, "Yes, my mother worked for a tennis player, and then a tennis ball hit my mother in the head and she died. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, what is Venus supposed to do? Like, oh, it's like very, very awkward. But anyway, I digress. Okay, so now we're back at the doctor's house. He makes himself a drink. Linda sits down on the couch, and then that's when Dr. Pride says, "Listen, Linda, wonder if I told you I discovered a serum capable of curing you permanently." Permanently meaning you would never have to come to my free clinic ever again. And well, it is somewhat experimental, but you would be cured permanently. And to Dr. Pride's surprise, Linda is not interested. No, she is not interested. She's like, experimental. And also, too, Dr. Pride told her, well, there are some side effects that I have to work out. And we know that is true. But she's like, you know what, Doc, count me out. I really don't want to be a guinea pig. And then Dr. Pride is like, but just think, you could help other people. And she's like, you know what? I'm good, but thank you very much. So then the doctor, he just looks at her and he stands up and turns his back on her. And then he turns back around and he goes, well, wonder if I insist. It's like, ooh, now this is getting a little scary now. And you can see that Linda, she is starting to feel a little uncomfortable because I think that's when she noticed the doctor is like 6'4". You know what I mean? And she's in his house all by herself. And yeah, the things take a turn. They take a turn. And Linda's like, okay, Doc, it's time for you to take me home now. I'm ready to go home. And it's like, look, and you can see the look in her eyes. It was like fear. And it is a look of fear because guess what? The doctor has a syringe. Just picture it, you guys. Just picture if you were in her shoes and how scared and vulnerable you would be feeling right now. It's like, oh, and Linda probably doesn't have money to take a cab, Who knows what time it is? Are the buses still running? Because, this is back in the 70s. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, oh no. So how in the world is Linda gonna get out of this? So I guess she thinks of something real quick and she goes, "You know what? How about this, Doc? Why don't you try the serum on yourself first and then I'll try it?" Well, the doctor, we already know he's tried it and he already knows the side effects. But he goes, "Okay, I'll do it." And true to his word, Dr. Pride injects himself with the serum right in front of Linda. Look at this right here. OMG. Look at what Linda is witnessing right now. I don't know. I maybe if it were me, if I saw him starting to change like this, I would have ran out the house. But then at the same time, maybe Linda was just so terrified that it's like, what? Like, am I really seeing what I'm seeing? Look at him. It's like, oh, hell no. And Linda's like, oh my God. She goes, what have you done to yourself? And then he's like, well, now it's your turn. You must try it. It's like, oh, hell no. This is crazy. Man, and look at Linda before Dr. Pride can approach her any closer. She hits him and it kind of knocks him off balance. So that gives her at least a few seconds to run out the house. And look at her. And then the next thing you know, oh my God, you guys, a car is coming. It's like, oh no. Well, for Linda, this scene is good and it's bad at the same time. The bad thing is poor Linda, she's just running, trying to run away from Dr. Pride. She runs into the street and she gets sideswiped by a car. Oh my God. But there are two good things, if you want to call it that. Well, it is, because the first good thing is she survived. And the second thing is she got sideswiped by a police car. So a policeman runs out and says, "Oh, lady, are you okay?" And Linda, look at Linda. Linda gets up quick and he's all, "Oh, no, 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 you need to lay down." So the cop is like, "You need to rest." So he's like trying to lay her down on the concrete and stuff. And she's like, "Brother, I gotta go." You know what I mean? She's like, "I gotta get out of here." And so Linda runs off. It's not funny. Oh God, poor Linda. Linda runs off into the night. Now we have the police involved. Do you know why? Because unfortunately a body was found. And it's kind of like, oh no, could it possibly be Linda? Because remember, the last time we saw Linda, she was trying to get away from the doctor. So I don't know. This is not looking good. But the good news is, look, it wasn't Linda. It's like, whew, okay, that's a relief. So Linda and her friend, they're at, their usual hangout, the Moonlight Lounge. And Linda's friend is like, "Man, you know what? I'm not getting any customers. I'm bored," And Linda's like, "Well, it's a Tuesday night. What do you expect? I mean, things will pick up over the weekend." And her friend is like, "Yeah, I guess." But then finally, after a few minutes, her friend is like, "You know what? I'm going home." So then she leaves a couple of dollars to the bartender and she leaves. So she starts walking. And of course, just like, these quote unquote horror movies, she's walking at night and it just so happens to be deserted. Even though she's walking in LA, for some reason, there's nobody on the street, right? And then she starts, it seems like it's cold, and she starts kind of like, rubbing her arms and she starts looking around, feeling a little uneasy. Then the next thing you know, she starts walking a little faster and almost to the point where she's almost running because she senses, something is just not right. Well, unfortunately, it looks like her instincts were correct because she ran right into the monster, Dr. Pride. Now we see a police officer on the phone, and he gets off the phone. He goes into the office with his coworker, and he's like, "You know what? Two ladies of the evening had been killed. That's two in 3 days." And his coworker is like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to really, do something. We're gonna have to pound the pavement. We're gonna have to, get out here on the street and start, asking people a lot of questions because, our bosses are getting on our backs. We don't even have any suspects." The police officer, they're making their rounds, and guess what? They end up at the Moonlight Lounge. And nobody really wants to talk to them. I mean, they're policemen. So, a lot of shady things go on at the Moonlight Lounge. But Linda decides, oh, you know what? I'll talk to you. Maybe I can help you. And so she talks to them, and they said, hey, you know, have you seen any person like a stranger that usually doesn't come into this bar? And she goes, well, and then they were like, yes. And she goes, no, never mind. It's nothing. And it's like, Linda, say it. That crazy man. The monster, Dr. Pride, came in. But she just says, well, no, it's nothing. And so the police officers give her their business card and says, well, if you think of anything, let us know. And then Linda's like, gosh, I'm so sorry I wasn't more help. And they were like, well, at least you talked to us. Some people are not even doing that. So then they go ahead and leave. Well, look what we have here. We have the pimp Silky, and he's with two of his employees. They're in this big car. I don't know if that's a Cadillac or an LTD. I don't know. But anyway, they're in this big car, and they're in the front seat of the car, and well, they're doing some illegal substances, let's just put it that way. And one of the ladies, she's like, I gotta go. So she gets out of her car, but the minute she gets out of her car, she is grabbed, and I don't know if she gets knocked out or, unfortunately, uh the monster, Dr. Pride, breaks her neck. I don't know. It happens so fast. He just grabs her, and then she just goes limp. And then he drags her behind some bushes. But Silky, is like, something's not quite right. What's going on here? So he gets out of the car to investigate. And that's when he runs smack dab into Dr. Pride. Now, Silky thinks he can fight the monster, okay? Keep in mind, Dr. Pride is 6'4", and he is now a monster with superhuman strength. But hey, Silky gives it a shot. He's hitting him, nothing is happening. And yes, but have no fear, help is on the way. So hang on, Silky, hang on. So the other lady of the evening, she sees what's going on, so she gets out of her car so she can go ahead and help Silky beat up the monster. And she actually jumps on Dr. Pride's back. And while all this is going on, look at Silky. Look what he does. He runs away. It's like, oh my God, are you freaking kidding me? It's like she tried to help you, and now you're not going to try to help her. Oh my God. And this is a horrible scene because look, the monster actually picks up this lady, lifts her above her head, and then he throws her as hard as he can, like she's a piece of trash. And then she ends up, rolling on the concrete. And then he runs to his car because he wants to go after Silky. So the doctor runs to his car, gets in it, and he runs over the poor lady. So it's like, oh my God. So even if she survived, uh, well, he rolled over her, so she's didn't survive now. She may have had a chance, but I mean, when a Rolls Royce runs over you, I mean, that's it. Well, hell, any car, that's it. And look at this. Look at Dr. Pride. My God, he actually takes his Rolls Royce, you guys, and hops the sidewalk and starts driving on the sidewalk. to get to Silky. I was like, oh my God, he means business. And then Silky, he's running in an alley, but guess what? There is no way out. He's looking to his left, he's looking to his right. It's a wall, there's nowhere to go. And then there's a door in front of him. Guess what? The door doesn't work. And it's like, oh my God. So then he turns around and there's a Rolls Royce right in front of him. And then he takes out his knife. I guess he thinks that's gonna stop a Rolls Royce. I don't know. But he does take out his knife. And well, Dr. Pride guns up the Rolls Royce and full speed ahead. Now, Silky did manage with the knife to puncture the Rolls Royce, in the front. But that's about it. I mean, that Rolls Royce took him out. So it's like not only the Rolls Royce took him out, lights out. R.I.P. to Silky. Now it's early the next morning, and Dr. Pride is exhausted. I mean, look, he's parked right in the driveway of his home, but he is knocked out. But then someone throws the morning newspaper on his driveway, and that kind of like wakes him up. So he wakes up like, okay, wow, I'm in my driveway. How did I get here? And then he picks up the newspaper, and as he's walking in front of his car, he notices blood on the front of his car. And he's kind of like, huh, okay, what did I do last night? So he walks into the house, but what's interesting is his the front door to his house is like totally unlocked. It's like, damn, it must be nice, right? I mean, to me, I don't care what neighborhood you're in, lock your front door. But hey, Dr. Pride is like, hey, so he just opens up his front door, strolls on in, and he opens up the paper and he sees the headline, Three New Murders in Watts. And he just sits down and he's like, because he knows he did it. So he's kind of grappling with himself. So it's like, man, just stop taking the serum, Dr. Pride. You're going to end up on death row, brother. So he goes into the bathroom, he washes his face, and he just looks at himself in the mirror. And he's talking to himself, and it's like, this can't be real. But then it's like, wow, this can't be happening. Ooh, and look at his face right here. Isn't that creepy? He does a little grin, and he's like, this is no nightmare. It's too late to change. And then he kind of grins just like that. So, okay, so now we know that he knows what he's doing is wrong. And he's to the point where it's like, oh well, it is what it is. So I guess he's just going to continue doing what he's doing. Okay, now Billy comes into the research lab and she tells Henry, otherwise known as Dr. Pride, you've been acting funny these last few days. When was the last time you had a checkup? He's like, I feel fine. And she goes, you just been weird. He gets a little defensive. I'm fine. And she's like, oh, okay. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. Well, I have been out of it a few days, haven't I? Then he says, "Well, maybe we should go away for a few days." And then Billy goes, "Well, my parents do have a cabin up in Big Bear Mountain." And he was like, "Ooh, I remember that cabin." So they're like, "Ooh." And then the next thing you know, his phone rings. So he's on the phone and Billy kisses him and she leaves. But you would not believe who is on the other line. Oh my God. It's Linda. It is Linda. And then she's like, "Hey," he's like, "Hey, how you been?" Like nothing ever happened. And she's like, "Just fine, thanks. Henry, I've got to see you." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "Can you meet me at 6 p.m. at the Watts Towers?" And he's like, "Oh, okay." Well, you guys, what do you think she wants to meet him about? Well, of course, remember the last time she saw the doctor? I mean, he was trying to inject her to make him a monster just like her. She got sideswiped by a car. I mean, it was a lot of drama. So we'll see what this meeting is going to be about. And look at Dr. Pride. Dr. Pride is like, uh-oh, because he already knows Linda wants to talk to him, but it's probably not going to be a casual conversation. All right. So we see Dr. Pride right there in front of the Watts Towers, and you see him there with his big old Mercedes Benz. And Linda, she pulls up in her car and she just gets into the front seat of the doctor's car. And the doctor acts like nothing has ever happened. He's like, "Hey, how are you?" And Linda's like, "I'm all right, I guess." And he's all, "I was very surprised when you called me, but I was glad because, maybe I didn't apologize right, or maybe I didn't apologize enough, or whatever." And it's like Linda's looking at him like, seriously? I mean, cause he's all jovial, like nothing ever happened. And look at Linda. Linda is looking at him like he is crazy. She's like, after this past last week, you think we're just gonna sit here and talk to each other like nothing ever happened?" And guess what Linda says? "Doc, you need to give yourself up." Linda, literally, you just said the kiss of death, right? Oh my Lord. So Linda continues. She's like, "With all these killings, Doc, you need help." It's like, whoa. And he goes, "Linda, I can't control it." Basically, his attitude is like, "Hey, it is what it is." And she's just looking at him. And guess what she tells him? She says, "I loved you." I'm like, "Oh, Linda, what? That is crazy." Well, no, actually, it's not crazy because let's see, when you think about it, she's a lady of the evening. She's trying to make ends meet. She lives in an old apartment, and she really doesn't know what her future well, what her future is going to look like. And here's this, older guy who's a doctor that drives a Mercedes in the day and a Rolls Royce at night. He's a researcher, plus he runs a free clinic. I mean, come on. So, hell, I'm in love with him now too. Shit. Yeah, I'm in love with Dr. Pride. Hell. Oh God. But then anyway, Linda's like, because he wasn't listening to her. He's like, "Hey, it just comes over me. I can't control it." So she's just looking at him because she already knows, like, okay, I have no choice. Then if you don't turn yourself in, then I'm just going to have to go to the police. It's like, Linda, it's like, what? And then she tells him, "Well, I got to go. I got to get back." And Dr. Pride goes, "Get back? Get back to what? The life you've been living?" It's like, oh, whoa. And she's cool though. Well, probably she's cool because she's like, "Hey, You can say whatever you want because I'm gonna call the police on you." But anyway, she's like, "Hey, I gotta go," and she didn't like that, little last remark, that was like, that cut a little too deep for her. So she got out the car and she quickly went to her car and drove off. Ooh, and look at him. Look at his eyes. And guess what he says? He's like, "Linda, I wish you wouldn't have told me that." It's like, "Linda, because you already know he's gonna be after her." Look at him. Oh my god. And look, and Linda is not joking around. Look at this. And she meets with the two police officers, and the bald headed police officer is like, "Hey, I remember you. We talked to you, at the Moonlight Lounge." So she sits down and she tells them, "Hey, I know who the killer is." And they're like, "Okay." And she's like, "His name is Henry, Dr. Henry Pride." It's like, whoa, Linda is serious. Oh man. So there's no going back now. Not at all. So now you see the two police officers are in their car and they're laughing a little bit because, well, they're kind of making fun of Linda a little bit because they have the newspaper and they see Dr. Pride, he's a successful doctor. And then they're laughing because they're like, "Wait a second. So this doctor is black by day and then he turns white by night and starts killing people." So they're like laughing or whatever. But then the black cop is like, "Well, I'm still gonna, check it out anyway. It doesn't hurt." And then the white cop is like, "Are you serious? Like, come on." And he goes, "Well, you can go home if you want to, but I'm gonna go ahead and check it out." And so the black cop gets out the car, and guess where he goes? Look at this. He is going to see Dr. Billy. OMG. And you see, she's out here, she's helping the kids paint and, having a good time. And then the police officer's like, "Can I speak to you?" And she's all, "Sure, sure." He's like, "Oh, I'm Lieutenant Jackson, And he says, then she was like, "Is something wrong with Henry?" "Oh, no, no, the doctor's fine." She was like, "Oh, okay." And then he says, "Do you know of anybody by the name of Linda?" It's like, "What?" And she goes, "Well, yes, that's one of Henry's patients." And then the lieutenant says, "Do you know of any reason why she would want to harm him?" And she's like, "No." And then she goes, "Well, Henry, he gets close to his patients. Not only is he like, he's not just successful, he's very kind." And the lieutenant just looks at her like, because we both know, because we both know, honey, Henry was whining and dining Linda, okay? And I guess the lieutenant's like, kind of giving her the side eye, like, "Okay, lady, whatever." And then he says, "Oh, I understand you and the doctor are doing some research." And then that's when Billy says, "Yes, we are, but that is confidential. And I really don't have anything else for you." So the lieutenant says, "Okay, thank you." And that is that. Linda is now getting ready for work. And her friend is looking at her like, where are you going?" And Linda's like, "I'm going to work." Her friend is like, "Are you serious? There's a madman on the loose and you're going to work?" And Linda's like, "Yep, I sure am." She's like, "No." She goes, Why do you have to do this? Why don't you just settle down and find you a man and all of this?" And guess what Linda says? Linda said, "I thought I did find love once." It's like, what? Because she's talking about the doctor. I mean, whoa, he really made a big impression on her. It's like, oh, and the scene is so sad. And then the next thing you know, Linda gives her best friend some money. And her best friend is like, "What is this for?" And she goes, "It's for little Jimmy for his birthday." And her best friend's face just lights up and she hugs Linda. She's like, "Linda, thank you so much." And then that's when Linda leaves the apartment. So the minute Linda steps out of her apartment, OMG, look who she sees. It's the doctor, but he's the monster. And he's all, "Linda." And she's looking like, "Linda, get in the car. Get in the car." Now, come on, Dr. Pride. You know she's not getting in the car, right? Look at you. I don't care, Rolls Royce or not. Nobody's getting into the car with you, right? So then Linda, she turns right back around into the apartment building and she just starts running. This scene right here in the apartment building, oh my god. It is crazy because Linda is running up the stairs. She's going into different people's apartments. She's trying to call the police. Dr. Pride breaks down a door, and then Linda runs into her best friend and like, "He's after me, he's after me." And her friend grabs a butcher knife. It is a mess. And then Linda has to climb out of a window down a fire escape and she starts running down the street. And but guess what? Dr. Pride, he doesn't go down the escape. He jumps over it. It's like Linda does not stand a chance. So then Linda runs into the shop. She's like, "You gotta help me. You gotta help me." And then the next thing you know, Dr. Pride just runs in there. But then the guy, you think he's gonna win because he pulls out a gun, he starts shooting. Linda's like screaming, "Ah, ah, ah." Then she runs out of the store and then she runs into like this abandoned place. And look at her, she is hiding and she's trying her best to be so quiet. Then she's peeking out the window just to see if she can hear or see Dr. Pride. It's like, where is he? So here's the room where she's in. So it's like, okay, good, good. She's safe. It's like, you know what? Maybe, she'll hang out there all night. Who knows? Nope. He finds her. It's like, "Linda, no." And you guys, yes, on that note, I'm going to end it right here. So the question is Linda going to survive? But not only that, will Dr. Pride survive? Will his girlfriend find out about him? Will the police catch up to him? Wow, doesn't it sound like a soap opera, right? Well, guess what, you guys? You guys will have to watch the movie and find out. Because, like I tell you, I'm not gonna give away the ending. Sorry, but I'm not. Okay, what do I think about this movie? Well, let's start with Dr. Pride. Let's start with that character. Actually, I'm gonna have to say I loved every scene that the actor did in this movie. I totally believed he was doing research. I absolutely believed it. And I absolutely believed that he ran a free clinic in Watts. I mean, just the way he was behaving, I mean, it seemed real. Even like I said, when he was in the research lab, messing around with the beakers, putting liquid here and there, looked real to me. Yeah, I have to say I liked yeah, I yeah, I have to say I liked all of the scenes he was in. I loved it. And I also thought it was touching when he took Linda out to eat and all that, even though he just did it to, try to make her like his guinea pig. But I still think there was some sincerity there. I think that, he really did want to help her. So, yeah, and I like that he showed her a good time, and she was like, "Oh, I could get used to this." So he showed her a different side of life, I guess you would say. So, yeah, I loved every scene. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think I liked every scene that he did. I really, really enjoyed his acting. And also too, Linda, it was very believable as well. The character was very believable. A young girl, lady of the evening, all she does is sit around at the dead end moonlight lounge trying to make some money, to pay her rent and, pay her bills. She has basically no idea how she's going to get out of this lifestyle, but she wants to get out. So there you go. And we kind of don't know how she got into that lifestyle, but we kind of do because she tells her best friend, "You and your kids are the only thing I have for family." So we know, I guess she comes from a broken home. But yeah, her character was absolutely believable. And then we have the character of Dr. Billy Worth. I believed her as well. Excellent chemistry. Rosalind Cash was the actress that played Dr. Billy Worth, a very famous actress. So, yeah, the chemistry between her and Bernie Casey, who played Dr. Pride, just the banter between them back and forth, they seemed very comfortable with each other. Actually, they acted together before, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, they seem very comfortable acting with each other, and hell, I believed it. So yeah, and as you can see by the way the movie looks, I wish they could remaster this movie because it's not good quality, and I hate movies like this that to me this movie is important, but I guess maybe to the whole of society it's not important. So sometimes movies like this get thrown to the wayside and they're never remastered, or you know what I mean, or anything like that. But this definitely, if it could be remastered where it looks really crisp and clear, that would be really, really nice. Oh, and the music, it's that typical 70s music. Dun, dun, I don't know, I can't even do it. That typical 70s funky music. It's like, okay. So yeah, I have to say this movie is very enjoyable. How many times have I watched this movie? I don't know, maybe 4 or 5. And yeah, it's never a dull moment because you're kind of wondering, where is this going to go? Like, how far is the doctor going to go? And then you see how when he becomes the monster, you see how it's like, it looks like he already had animosity towards ladies of the evening because of how his mom died. He tried to bang on the door and none of the ladies would help him, and his mom ended up dying. So then when he becomes a monster, he takes it out on the ladies of the evening. It's kind of like, oh, okay. Oh, and you guys would not believe who directed this movie. You would not believe it. I'm gonna tell you on the next picture who directed this movie. You're gonna be like, "What?" Oh, let me see, what else did I like about this movie? Yeah, I really liked it. Did it have flaws? Of course it had flaws. Of course. I know one of the flaws was like the monster, he seemed superhuman, right? Because guys would hit him in the face, hit him all over his body, and it didn't hurt him at all. But then when the monster was fighting in the Moonlight Lounge, one of the guys cuts his hand. And then all of a sudden, the monster seems like he's hurt. And then that's when he runs out of the lounge. But it's kind of like, well, if you're tough and rough and all this stuff, and then you get cut, why does it seem like it hurt? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay, whatever. But other than that, I mean, this was a very, very enjoyable movie. Trying to think of what else. And like I said, very small budget. But the thing I liked about this movie is whatever the budget they had, they worked with it. I mean, wow. I mean, of course, the makeup was cheesy, of course. All right. But if you can overlook that, it's a really good movie. And the thing I like about looking at movies from the 1970s, I love looking at the hairstyle, the clothes, and also, too, some of these movies are filmed in Los Angeles, California. So if you're familiar with Los Angeles, California, and the way it looks now, it's kind of cool to look at a movie from like over 40 years ago so you can see how LA looked way back in 1976. And another thing about this movie, um, I think the title, I hate Dr. Black. You know what I mean? And Mr. Hyde is kind of like what his name was Dr. Pride. You know, it's kind of like maybe if the marketing were better, that would have helped the movie. And yeah, but other than that, I loved this movie. I really, really did. And it's one of these movies that I go back to, once every few years. So, and I hope you will too. Yes, you guys, the director, the one, the only William Crane. This is the same director that gave us Blackula. This man is amazing. Because look, he was born in 1949, and this movie came out in 1976. So look how young this guy was when he was directing this movie. I don't even think he was 30. Because when he was directing Blackula, I think he was only like 22, 23 years old. It's like, what? And also, too, I talk about William Crane. So go ahead and check it out. Check it out on my review of Blackula. So I do a whole little thing so you can know the history on William Crane. And on a side note, look, when you watch the movie and the one scene where the monster throws the guy through the window of the record shop, notice the name of the record shop is called Crane's Records. And who's the director of this? Crane, William Crane. So I was like, okay, very interesting. So yeah, so I talk about him more on the episode about Blackula. So go ahead and check that out as well. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about the cast. Now, I already told you about William Crane, the director. So let's go with Bernie Casey. Now, Bernie Casey was born in 1938 in West Virginia. And after he graduated high school, He went to college. And guess what? I believe it was in 1961. He went to the finals for the Olympics, you guys. And he didn't make it to the Olympics, but guess what happened? I think it was just a year later, he gets drafted into the NFL. So it's like, oh man, I didn't make the Olympics, but guess what? I'm in the NFL. So yeah, because Bernie, he was like 6'4", 6'5". So he played in the NFL and he played for a few years. So he had a good solid career. And then he retired. So when he retired, guess what? It was like once again, like a year later, he's an actor. It's like, what? So it's like very, very interesting. And Bernie, his acting spans decades. I mean, you'll know him from so many different things. Revenge of the Nerds, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. Brian's song. I mean, wow. Oh, man, what an actor. Not only what an actor, he was a poet and a painter as well. Can you imagine? It's like, wow. And I think he was a good hurdler when he was in high school. So he's doing the hurdles, football, poet, actor, painter. Wow, amazing stuff. And unfortunately, he passed away in 2017. But we still have his movies and everything to look back on. Now, Rosalind Cash. Rosalind Cash was born in 1938 in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Now, Rosalind Cash, too, is one of those actors that you would see pop up every once in a while when you were growing up. Some of the stuff she was in is The Omega Man back in 1971. That's that movie with Charleston Heston. Very famous movie. Oh, and just like Bernie, she was in the movie Cornbread Earl and Me. Guess who else was in that movie? A little kid, a little actor by the name of Lawrence Fishburne. Yes, in case you didn't know it, Lawrence Fishburne started as a child actor, and the rest is history. And she also was in Uptown Saturday Night. How can I forget that? Tales from the Hood. Oh, and she played in an episode of Good Times. This is an episode where JJ has a girlfriend and she's an older woman. Ooh, check that out. That was an excellent episode. She also was featured in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, The Golden Girls, Hill Street Blues, and also A Different World. So, yep, yep, yep. And sadly, she is not with us either. She passed away on Halloween, you guys. She passed away on October 31st back in 1995. God, I remember when she passed away. I was in shock because she was only 56 years old. Bless her heart. So, yes. Another actress in the movie, Marie O'Henry. And I couldn't find hardly anything on her. I'm assuming she's still with us. I'm going to assume. And before this movie, she played in another movie, Three the Hard Way. Oh, you guys have got to see this movie. Guess who's in it? Oh, Jim Kelly. If you don't know who Jim Kelly is, he was an expert when it came to, like karate and kung fu. Then he became an actor. Guess who else is in it? Fred Williamson. You know Fred Williamson, Black Caesar, all those movies. Bucktown. I mean, oh my God, the list goes on and on. Well, anyway, Fred Williamson, he started out as a professional football player. Third guy that was in Three the Hard Way, none other than Jim Brown, another football player that became an actor. So, yeah, I don't have much on Marie, but she did a hell of a job in this movie.
Excellent job. And oh, yes, G2 Kumbuka. Sorry if I mispronounced the name. Now, you guys, if you have been watching my little reviews or my movie overviews, you'll know he played a small role in Blackula. However, I featured him and went through his career on that movie review. So check out the Blackula movie review where I talk about his career because he had a good career. He was even in Roots, you guys. And sadly, oh, he is gone. He died on July 4th, you guys, not July 4th. Back in 2017, the same year Bernie passed. It's like, oh man. But like I said, we still have, these movies to remember them by. And what else? Oh, the cinema photography was done. Oh, I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name. Tak Fujimoto. Now, this is interesting because his in his career he went on to do the cinema photography for Pretty in Pink, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Silence of the Lamb, Philadelphia, Devil in a Blue Dress, and another movie called Devil. Oh, I love this movie, Devil. You know what it's about, you guys? Uh, a couple of people, they are trapped in an elevator, and one of them is a devil. Oh, it is very interesting. You'll have to check out that movie. I really, really like that movie. And who else? Let me see. Uh, I think that might be it. Well, when I say it might be it, there's tons of other people that played a hand in this movie, but I just wanted to give you just a little snippet.
Well, as always, you guys, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. I couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much. I love doing this, and I hope that you enjoy listening to it. And don't forget, as always, to like, share, and subscribe. And not only that, I do have a book, you guys. Yes, I actually have a book, and it is called The Creeping Things and Other Tales of Madness and Mayhem. So go ahead and check it out. I mean, come on, Christmas is coming. That doesn't mean you can't buy somebody a little creepy book. So go ahead. And happy Halloween. Oh my God, I love Halloween. And I'm going to try to put this episode out actually on Halloween. So if you're not going to do anything for Halloween, you can stay home, you can kick back and listen to me. Or if you're going to go to a Halloween party or anything like that, while you're on your way to the party, you can listen to me. You can take me anywhere. Oh God, I was just gonna sing like the Reading Rainbow. I can go anywhere. Okay, I'm embarrassing myself too much. So I'm gonna go. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for listening. Until next time. Bye.